Hey guys, good morning. Excuse me. Hey guys, good morning. This is Dan. Welcome to Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. For those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very, very much for your support there. It's been amazing. I appreciate each and every one of you. Um, uh, if you're interested in supporting and getting a monthly subscription over on Patreon, you certainly can do so. You can go over to patreon.com, choose a subscription level, and you receive the daily forecast a day early. You also can get other readings that are available over there, free charmings, things like that. So feel free to check that out. So we are at a new week, and I love this because the month turns over right on the Sunday when we start the new week. We're starting with two new decks. We've just, we're about to have, because I filmed this a day early, we're about to have this full blue moon on Halloween. So the energy feels kind of mystical, magical. I'm really excited for these new cards, for these new readings for the month of November. So all of that, and I'm just kind of keen on the fact that we're starting a new month right on the beginning of the week. So it feels sort of, inspired or inspiring to me. All right, so for those of you that are new, the way that this works is every Sunday I'll do a weekly, and it's like a macrocosm, microcosm reading. So it sort of doubles as the reading for Sunday, but also it shows the underpinning energy of what we might be experiencing during the week. The three cards will be a day or two of the week that we may all be going through in our own certain way, and then give or take a day or two, right? So some of you may experience all three cards and then some, or some of you may experience only one of the three cards throughout the entirety of the week. You have to be kind of open and flexible with that. Take what you need from the reading and sort of, leave the rest kind of thing. It is a broad spectrum reading for a bunch of different people intended to see it whenever they see it. So if it's, if it makes sense for you, great, utilize it and enjoy it. If it doesn't, that's okay. It doesn't mean anything's wrong. It just means you might be working on something different. This reading is timeless. I always intend for the highest good for the greater collective. Therefore, when you see it is when you're intended to see it. So I believe that Spirit has a way of finding us the right messages at the right time, and I trust that. So if you're watching this on a date that doesn't fall on, like, say, November 1st, it doesn't mean that it's out of date for you. There might be some information in here for you. If you choose to make any decisions in your personal life in regards to what you're doing after having watched this reading, those decisions will be your responsibility. So keeping that in mind also. All right, let's get into this. So this is for the week of the 1st through the 7th of November. And again, each card will represent maybe a day or two. And each of you may experience, each card in a sort of different time frame, or just, you'll see. So let's see what's going on. And we're working with CULLINANE's the GRIMALKIN Tarot in honor of my cat Arthur. I thought that would be nice. So, and then the deck that won over in the poll on Patreon, we had a tie between the Empathic Oracle and the Hedgewitch Botanical Oracle, which I was very excited about too. But I decided to break the tie with the Empathic because I felt like cats are very empathic and into vibes and all of that. And I felt like the Hedgewitch, as much as I'm excited about unboxing it and getting it out into play, I think it might come around in spring. It might be best utilized in spring because it's all about flowers and sort of that sort of thing. So I kind of got this hit that maybe it's better to hold off and wait and utilize that in spring in the next few months. So let's see what sort of messages we get out of these two decks for this month. What do we need to know? Okay, excuse me. So the first card we have, is the Lovers right out of the gate. I love this card. So to me, Lovers is the, not to me, but like in general, Lovers is the sign of Gemini, right? It is major arcana. So I feel like we're opening up this week in a very beautiful state. We maybe feel connected to our world, to those around us. I hope that we're feeling more connected to our world and those around us. We're probably able to find more of the pleasure in things, more of our connection to things, understanding our part. There feels like there's a clarity, there's a purity to this card. I love that we have both. In this cat, we have the light cat and the dark cat, so we have both our light side and our shadow side. There's an embracing of that, like in the individual for each and every one of us, but also we might be able to embrace that in others too, right? I love this. This is sort of like the tree of life. It's rooted down into the ground. We have the snake of transmutation down here, which speaks to this idea of, in my mind, and I don't know, later in the week I will read definitions from MJ's book, but in my mind, to me, it's about kind of rooting in who we are and knowing what we are, loving every aspect of that, light and dark, right? Similar to what we saw in yesterday's Wildflowers card. But taking anything that we're told or anything that is other people's opinions, anything that is maybe self-doubt, negativity, that sort of stuff, and transmuting it, burying it, grounding it, and getting rid of it. In doing so, we're able to grow, flourish, and we see the strength of this lion up above, right? To me, the lion always represents strength and tarot. And when I'm looking at these, this winged animal, it's definitely sort of spirit joining us, right? Which we have the veil at its thinnest point, especially with this blue moon. We're going to experience this vibe coming over probably the next few days leading up to and past the blue moon. So the first few days into November, I would suspect that we might be feeling a little bit more intuitive, a little bit more spiritually connected, and sort of feeling the love of all of that, the wonder of all of that, the greatness of all of that. And I hope that's the case, because to me this feels very positive. We feel very connected, like I said, to ourselves and to those around us. I love this little honoring of the sun back here, which to me feels like there's a purity, an energy, an honesty maybe. There's light being shed on our situation in a way that's positive, that creates an opportunity for us to sort of see things as they are, potentially appreciate them as they are, sort of loving maybe our environment, the people in our environment. For those of you that are in love, I would expect a deepening of that love to be happening. Maybe you're at home cozying up and eating candy with your loved one. Go right ahead, the leftover candy. Have at it and enjoy it. Just kind of enjoy the bond that you have within your world to your world is sort of the feeling that I get. I don't want this to become so much of like a love reading for the week. I just think that this card represents us falling in love, even for those of us that are in singular sort of, what's the word? Not quarantine, but if we're still kind of hanging by ourselves, keeping safe and doing our life, and we don't maybe have a lot of interactions with people, this could represent as sort of us just kind of appreciating ourselves on many different levels and allowing that tree, that white tree with the red leaves, is sort of like growing forward. To me, also the tree being white with the red leaves, to me that takes me to the element of fire a little bit, which is the element of spirit. And the white wood of the tree here reminds me of spirit also. So when I look at this, it feels like us maybe loving on ourselves enough to allow ourselves to grow and be seen and be shown. And that appreciation that we feel for ourselves then gets reflected back to us maybe from the environment. We also have the moon up in here too. So we have the cycles of both, the light and the dark, right? And they're kind of opposing each other. There's a balance going on. So I like that we're leading into the beginning of November and the first few days feeling very balanced, in harmony, kind of at peace with things in a very big and large way. Now let's look at the midweek card. What? All right, we have the star card. This is probably my favorite card of the deck. So the star to me is the sign of Aquarius, right? And again, we have air energy, which we're in. What are we in? We're in Scorpio right now, right? It's Scorpio season, so we would be more in water energy, but both of these are air signs, Gemini and Aquarius. So some of you, because this is going out to a broad spectrum of people, you might find yourself dealing with people of this element, right? These signs, air signs. But I do feel like because it's the lovers and the stars, that these dealings or these interactions, if you're experiencing them, will be very pleasant or positive, right? And that's for maybe a specific few of you. But as I'm looking at this star card, we have, all right, so do you see the story here? I'm seeing a little bit of the story. So we have the beauty of this singular tree, right? And it's taking root. We're transmuting any sort of, self-doubt, disbelief, other people's opinions. We're kind of processing it down below and getting rid of it, and in loving ourselves, embracing ourselves, allowing ourselves to be who we are, and sort of showing that, standing in the strength of that, the clarity of that, both intuitively and in the physical world. We have this star, which is the same tree, right? And it sort of is peacefully continuing to grow those roots. It's loving itself quietly, it's appreciating itself. To me, the star is like wishes granted, right? There's this opportunity here where we have sort of the tower experience, which is the card before the star, and the star is that peace that comes after the storm. We don't necessarily have a storm here. We have this sort of beautiful appreciation of oneself, and as we sort of embrace that in the early part of the week, I feel like in the latter part or in the midweek, that sort of settles in very beautifully and like kind of just fits in almost like a jigsaw piece, if that makes sense. This cat is so at peace to me, and so it feels like we're embracing all of our all of it, you know, every aspect of self and maybe those things around us that maybe otherwise had unnerved us, bothered us, whatever. To me, this star brings about this sense of quiet, calm, peace, centeredness, acceptance, all of those things. And there's also a very strong sort of aspect of self-nurturing or self-care that's going on in the midweek. So anything that you need, like the way that this kitten is being held and embraced, to me, I think that's if we need that, go ahead and give that to yourself this week. You certainly deserve it. Remember to also the election is coming clean on the 3rd, or maybe, we don't know, like it could get even more convoluted by the 3rd, but the 3rd is also our day, which would be kind of the beginning of the midweek energy, where things start to become clearer, maybe around the direction of where the USA might be going, and that's going to affect the whole world as a whole. So hopefully this star speaks to this idea of a peaceful resolution of that, right? Whatever that may be, whichever president we get, maybe it's not going to be some big, crazy upheaval. Let's hope and pray for that, right? This Lover's card and this Star card speaks to the idea that this week, both in the beginning and the midweek, are going to be powerful, impactful, and I think very pleasurable at a sort of, when I look at these, both cards give me this real sense of peace. Both of these cats are sort of centered, seated, or resting. They're not eager or anxious. They're not active in any way. It's sort of like we're sitting and witnessing and loving everything that's going on, hopefully, around us. So I hope that's the case for you guys, or you're able to at least find that love. When you find that love in the early part of the week and that appreciation in the early part of the week, you're able to rest in that via this star card, and wishes do start to come true. This tree becomes a little bit, it shed its leaves, right? But it becomes a little bit more of who we are in a more easier state. The roots like take hold even deeper at a more rapid rate. Our understanding of our place in the world and how we fit into it is just more at peace and more like how it's supposed to be is kind of the feeling that I'm getting. All right, so the end week or the end of the week card. What? It's all major arcana, guys. So this is the Judgment card. So what I'm going to say about this is Scorpio energy. We are in Scorpio season. So we've got this sort of intellect, or air. We've got Gemini, we've got Aquarius, and then we go into Scorpio. Judgment is about the truth coming out, right? Judgment is about sort of things coming clear, things maybe possibly coming to an end. We look at these gravestones here, but we have to know that Spirit has a hand in all of this, right? That's the angel that presides over judgment. And sometimes judgment can be a little bit harsh or potentially not necessarily unkind, but the truth that is told or the truth that comes out can be sometimes a little bit maybe unpleasant or unsettling. But with this card, I feel like it's needed. It's transformative. Certainly, that's the sign of Scorpio, right? And usually with this sort of truth that comes out, we also have the crow up here, which I love because he represents law, right? Or the truth. Right? And so he's bringing with him the truth on the wings of this angel, right? And so they may be bringing some situations to an end. Now, those situations might be not necessarily in our immediate environment. Maybe certain situations are coming to an end by week's end around the election or around, I don't know, something bigger than us. But I feel like truths are being revealed. Um, they're being told, they're coming out, and they are for our betterment, or they are for our a transformation to something better, right? If something has to die off, leave, or change, we need to allow that to happen, is the feeling that I'm getting from this Judgment card. It's sort of like, to me, we may need to allow, how do I want to say this? We may need to allow, like, where am I going with this? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. I was just looking at, all right, my brain just took me somewhere else. If we look at this white cat here, right, we have this equality here, the white cat and the dark cat, and then we have the white cat in the background and the dark cat in the front. And it's sort of interesting to me because it caught my attention that it looks like the two cats that are in equality in the beginning of the week. There might be something that comes out towards the end of the week that we need to sort of bring, not back into balance, but that we need to look at. Something maybe with our shadow self, some truth about possibly potentially ourselves that we need to transform and release. The truth of that is, to me, this feels like a good thing and a benefit, but it may come at a cost, right? It may come at like a truth that is uncomfortable for us, or something that we don't necessarily want to look at. But if we're truly embracing ourselves at the beginning of the week with that Lovers card, it's going to be okay. We need this. It's time. It's Scorpio season. It's the blue moon. It's the full moon. It's about releasing. So these truths that are being released in this Judgment card are exactly what's supposed to happen. Does that make sense? So allow anything to come up. If anything needs to depart, if anything needs to change, if any truths come out of nowhere and we're sort of surprised by them, embrace them no matter what they may be, even if they bring up fear. That's what this black cat could represent too for us at the forefront of this card. Is like, if say a truth came out at work where we found out some sort of hijinks was going on, right? Behind our back or whatever, instead of embracing it and allowing our fear, resentment, or anger to come up, just learn that truth and allow it to unfold and play out. And that situation will probably die off or change in some way, shape, or form, right? But this black cat, which represents our more fear-based or lower vibrational self, our dark side, our shadow side, may want to step forward and take over during this period of judgment at the end of the week. Don't necessarily allow it. Keep contact with the white cat too, right? To keep that sort of balance that we see moving forward. So let's see what the Empathic Oracle says. We have water, 8. So I feel like this water card is tied to that transformation, or the Scorpio card at the end of the week. I feel like the water card, also the way that it connects to, I may read the definition because this Empathic Oracle, it's a little bit new to me and it's very vague. But what I'm going to say before reading anything is the way that this water connects to these cards is I feel like there's a flow that's happening throughout the week. There's a flow between the lovers, right, which brings up that good sort of watery emotion, right, where it sort of flows, and we flow into the star, and that water, which is this element of 8, right, which is about bringing about this balance. We have this balance between the cats here in the lovers card, right? We also have this balance or this peace that we see in the star. So as we allow this sort of balance or this 8 number water to flow through from what early part of the week into the midweek, we sort of keep that balance. Now, as we move into this Judgment card, that water or that emotional flow might become a little bit more volatile because we see some waves in this water card. When I'm looking at the cats, right, in Judgment, Scorpio is a water sign. It is Scorpio season. This water element that's running through this week is here to bring us into this 8 number balance, right? We want to allow for this to happen. If there are some waves that we have to contend with or deal with in the latter part of the week, which would be where this Judgment card kicks in, and you'll know what they are, right? They may not directly affect you, but you're going to be aware of them, certainly. Judgment, the fact that these are 3 major arcana says that this is a big week going into November. For all of us on some level in our lives, And so this water, if we feel like we're getting tossed and turned through the judgment or the truths that come out towards week's end, don't worry, because ultimately the waves will bring us to the state of this 8, which is this sort of balance, right? So I'm going to read card number 8. I'm not going to read all of MJ's stuff because it's a lot of reading, but let me read card number 8 and see what it says about water. I like that the water is in tune to the season too, so I think that that's to help us. All right, so stream, river, ocean, clouds, rain, and then back to stream. This is the cycle of emotion in its unimpeded flow. Water is fluid, water flows, water is not hard to see. It is when the water is not allowed to be found or to flow that a cincture in its energetic power begins to develop. This is the same for the empath. Water is emotions filling up crevices and wearing down rocks. When emotions are not acknowledged, felt, and processed, they quickly gain a power that can be overwhelming to the empath. They quickly create a different experience than originally intended, quickly becoming overwhelming. So I'm going to say this because we have this sort of black cat in the judgment. If there, like I said, if there's something that we're not looking at, a truth about ourselves that needs to step forward from our shadow self, allow it to step forward and flow, guys, because that flow will bring us into more balance. If there's a truth around a situation or someone else in our life that is maybe unpleasant or that we were unexpecting, allow that to flow again and allow your emotions around that situation to also flow. Expect to be more peaceful and more aligned in the early part and the midweek. And when judgment comes, wherever that judgment comes from, if it's in regards to you and your personal self or with someone else or a situation outside of you, again, allow this balance to come about by allowing yourself to process and feel everything. I am being looked at by a squirrel in the window right now with a nut in his mouth. He's straight staring right in the window at me. Oh, how creepy. All right, so it is Halloween, guys. He's trick-or-treating early. So allow this water to flow and allow these emotions to be free, even if they feel a little bit tumultuous. It's going to bring us into this state of balance. And ultimately, the judgment that comes is something that is if it produces some sort of upheaval or discomfort, that's okay. It's going to lead us to some firmer truth that brings about a transformation that's desired or needed that we may not be unaware of, okay? And so if some of these emotions come up, allow them to. At the beginning of the week, there could be emotions of love that sort of feel overwhelming, right? And then emotions of self-appreciation in this star that feel sort of peaceful yet a little bit like, wow. But allow it to happen. Allow this sort of water energy to flow through your week. Be flexible, be buoyant, be flowing versus in resistance or fighting against things this week. Does that make sense? That is your forecast. Sorry it went long. Please hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed it. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in, and hit subscribe if you feel so inclined. And if you have any questions, leave a comment or questions in the comment section. All right, have a great day. Love you. Bye-bye. All right, this is part 2, guys. I'm sorry. I was so scattered and I took so long, I forgot the grounding stone. So let me do the grounding stone. I'll just add this to the end of the video. It's this full moon energy. I'm a little bit wonky. And our grounding stone is on Snowflake Obsidian. Again, we have that light and dark, the white cat and the dark cat, right? And passion. Again, I feel like this ties into that Lovers card. Where are we passionate about? What is it that we are passionate about, right? Like that will be the focus this week. Passion also keys into this Water card very much so, because it's a very strong, intense emotion, an emotion of love, right? We can be passionate towards people, towards situations, towards beliefs, towards, desires or ideals, goals, that sort of thing. Finding those things out, seeking those things out, and allowing those passions, feeding those passions is maybe going to be key this week. That's also the tumultuousness and the overwhelm of this water. We might also have to let go of certain passions that maybe aren't working for us by the week's end, that could be the judgment card, right? Is judgments that we need to maybe make in our lives where is this still good for me or is this something that I continue to carry forward? It may not be serving us anymore at this time. Sorry that I forgot the grounding stone, you guys. So this will be our grounding stone for the week, and we'll see where these messages take us. Again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys later. Sorry about that. All right, have a great day, you guys, and happy Halloween. All right, bye.